The challenge is the lighting industry, in order to adopt so-called smart lighting or light field sensing or any of these kinds of things, nobody will ever be able to afford it. The cost down is going to have to come from creating value to other parts of the building.
Yes.
So, for example, if I have a building that can turn off the heating or ventilation or air conditioning to a part of the building that's not occupied and save energy, or turn off a plug load somewhere which is wasting phantom power. So if a lighting system is best positioned to be able to figure out where people are and what they are doing and to properly measure occupancy, that occupancy measurement is hugely valuable to reducing the carbon footprint of the building, and that's where the payback comes from. People aren't going to pay a lot of money to fix something which has a future payback. It has to pay back now.
Welcome back everyone to another exciting episode of the Virtual Lighting Design Community Podcast. Today we have a special treat for all the lighting enthusiasts out there. We had a privilege of sitting down one-on-one with none other than Professor Robert Karlicek, a renowned expert in the field. Robert is no stranger to the world of lighting design and innovation. With a distinguished career spanning decades, he is a professor of electrical, computer and systems engineering and director of the Center for Lighting-Enabled Systems and Applications and co-director of the Institute for Energy, Built Environment and Smart Systems at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in the USA. He was a keynote speaker at the IESANZ Light in Focus event held in Sydney, Australia back in June 2023. In this exclusive interview, which will be available on our YouTube channel as well, Professor Robert Karlicek delved into key topics like sustainable lighting practices, emerging trends in the field, and his vision for the future. It is an illuminating conversation that every aspiring lighting designer should not miss. Before we dive into this interview, we would like to extend a special thanks to our premium supporters, Aero Light, Creative Lighting Asia, Airco, and the Signify Lighting Academy. Their support makes episodes like these possible and allowing us to explore the most significant developments in the lighting industry. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode and unlock the wisdom of Professor Robert Karlicek as he talks with VLDC's Martin Klaasen.
My name is Martin Klaasen and welcome to the Virtual Lighting Design Community. I have a special guest today, Mr. Robert Karlicek, and I'm going to interview him about this event where you have done a keynote. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And by way of introduction, my name is Bob Karlicek. I'm a professor of electrical engineering at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and I'm very interested in the field of lighting design and control, particularly how it plays into the built environment for purposes of human health and well-being.
Thank you. So you came all the way from the US. So had you been in Australia before?
About 5 years ago, yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Do you feel there's a big difference between what we do in Australia and what we do in the US?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think that on the lighting research side, there's not a big difference.
Yeah.
In terms of lighting product application and the things that are going on in terms of standardization, perhaps a little bit of a difference.
Right.
But I think that the whole world is looking to figure out how to do lighting better and more energy efficiently. And courtesy of light-emitting diodes, the entire market is still in fluctuation, and we haven't seen the end of it yet.
No. So the theme of this event is called What's Next in Lighting. What's that for you? What do you think is next? What's the future?
Well, it's kind of along the lines of the talk that I gave today. With LED lighting and the capabilities that we see for color tuning and directional control and all the things that people are concerned about in the built environment, it's clear that lighting systems, as they become smarter, are going to have to be smarter than the people that are supposed to operate them. And so they're going to need to be able to not only operate autonomously, but they're also going to have to know and measure properties of the environment. What is the lighting level? What's the spectral power distribution? Do I need to adjust my spectral power distribution because of the color of the paint which is used in a room? What about daylighting, and how do I integrate with the daylighting? And how do I actually deliver to the client the best lighting outcomes autonomously, because people don't speak the language of light.
Right. You think AI will play a big role in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's going to, that and sensor net systems.
Yeah.
So right now our sensor networks aren't really capable of measuring the things we need to know about lighting and people and the built environment. I think as sensors become more intelligent and as they start networking with each other, and we have what I'll call sensor fusion going on with embedded machine learning and artificial intelligence, these systems will adapt and learn so that people won't have to worry about the light switch or the light settings.
Sort of intuitive, maybe.
The building will know.
Yeah, the building will know, yeah. Now, I listened to your talk, and I believe that you approached this from a research point of view, like you did all those studies and to see how that could work, but there's of course the step to be made from research to reality.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's one of the points which probably is a challenge for many people right now. As a lighting designer myself, I found one of the biggest hurdles to take is the cost aspect, because we may promote this, what we want to achieve, but the cost aspect sometimes is a hurdle that is difficult to overcome for some clients.
So that is completely correct. The challenge is the lighting industry, in order to adopt so-called smart lighting or light field sensing or any of these kinds of things to offer smart lighting services, nobody will ever be able to afford it. The cost down is going to have to come from creating value to other parts of the building.
Yes.
So, for example, if I have a building that can turn off the heating or ventilation or air conditioning to a part of the building that's not occupied and save energy, or turn off a plug load somewhere which is wasting phantom power that doesn't need to be wasting phantom power because it knows where people are and what they're doing, that will pay huge dividends for energy savings and reducing the carbon footprint of buildings.
Yes, absolutely.
So if a lighting system is best positioned to be able to figure out where people are and what they are doing, and to properly measure occupancy, that occupancy measurement is hugely valuable to reducing the carbon footprint of the building, and that's where the payback comes from.
Yeah. But our role then is to educate the client, because that's what I find doing myself most of the time, is to educate the client about this cost-benefit thing, because we can tell them, okay, this is what you should do, and this is but we need to explain the benefits, and that the additional cost that may be involved brings also a lot of additional benefits, just like we explained.
So the benefits are going to come initially from energy savings in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And I think that those will be substantial and able to drive adoption of these kinds of systems. Other qualitative benefits in lighting and building systems operation, like human health and wellness. And we know that people live in buildings right now. We know that buildings have some of the worst indoor air quality of just about any place where people can be. But are people going to be willing to pay for better indoor air quality? Well, maybe if there was a quantifiable metric that says that your probability of becoming sick is going to be higher because you're breathing polluted air. And if we have the metrics to prove that, then that's going to be something that would be valuable for future building owners to be able to drive the benefit of. But that evidence is hard to convince people. We've been living in polluted spaces for a long period of time. The life expectancy still goes up, except after COVID in the United States has gone down a little bit.
Okay.
But the reality is people aren't going to pay a lot of money to fix something which has a future payback. It has to pay back now. And
certainly with the current economical climate, makes it a bit harder as well.
And that economical climate is going to remain with us. And right now the evidence about the improved health and wellness that's available with better lighting, spectral control, and circadian rhythm management, that's not something that people feel. They can't tell in the built environment that they're breathing polluted air. that payback is going to have to come from making buildings much more energy efficient and deriving the value of something that's tangible, the electric bill or the heating or air conditioning bill. And so that's really where the benefit's going to come in.
Now, you mentioned in your talk that, or suggested that the lighting designer may have a lesser role in the future because all of this. Can you clarify that a bit? Or I'm a lighting designer, so I'm just worried about what you're saying.
I think the IES has frequently defined a lighting designer as an accidental profession.
Oh, really?
Although people teach lighting design.
I mean, in quite honesty, I accidentally became a lighting designer. I never sought out to become one. But
so I think that lighting design is extremely important, and lighting designers in the future will become increasingly more technical in terms of their understanding about light measurement and control systems and the computations required to deliver spectrum, their understanding of spectrum and health and human performance.
Yeah.
And so I think the lighting design profession is going to become much more complicated. It's going to become much more automated.
Right.
But these systems will be built by lighting designers.
Yeah.
It's just that they're not going to be some people with a good eye running around with a photometer.
Well, there's also one of the reasons why we created the virtual lighting design community. I know you don't know much about it. It's something that we created during the pandemic in a way to keep communicating between us in the lighting design or the lighting industry in general. It's not just for lighting designers, it's for everybody that has a key interest and a stake in the lighting design industry. And I think that communication about where we're going and how we can disseminate that to everybody, I think that's one of the key of our platform.
I think that's a very good insight. And I will add to that in our work that we've done with lighting design for our autonomous lighting systems, virtual lighting design has been a key part. So when we take a look at what people are doing for the virtual reality space and for gaming, lighting is a huge factor.
Absolutely.
In terms of how people design lighting. And what we found is that in designing the lighting systems for our research, that existing tools like Radiance and plugins to things like Honeybee or some of the other lighting measurement measurement software and lighting control software, they're not really up to the challenge. They need to continue to evolve. And I think that in the future, almost all lighting design will be virtual.
Yeah. We haven't spoken about the metaverse even, because that's when we talk about digital twins and what have you.
Now, if you talk to some people in the early days of virtual reality and virtual lighting design, they said that the virtual lighting visualization tools just aren't up to the lighting quality, the color rendering capability that you can get in the actual environment with actual lighting systems. If I've just got a little virtual reality headset with an RGB projector, I can't realize the full scope of spectral power distributions that people expect to see in lighting. But that's changing. And that's going to be changing with much more powerful, much wider gamut display technologies in the actual headsets. So, yes, are VR headsets and virtual lighting design tools good enough to give you a true lighting design experience? Not yet. But that technology is coming.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, the IES has put together a really nice program with quite a lot of speakers. Is there any topic that you have seen from the program that speaks to you and say, oh, that's really something that I think will be very important for the future?
I think that the continued work on the built environment and its ties into lighting is going to be most important, because lighting by itself has to be integrated to the architectural design community. Some people say full stop. If lighting design cannot be incorporated into the built environment design and architectural design more holistically, we're not going to see very much progress. Right now, in my opinion, you have lighting control systems and you have building control systems. they don't really communicate that well together. They're not really aware of each other. And even in building control systems, there's this whole problem of what we call interoperability.
Yeah.
I can't get a Philips controller to talk to a Acuity controller.
Silos.
It's all vertical silos.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to break down those silos, and they're going to have to be broken down at the building's systems level.
Absolutely.
And even in building controls, I might have a backnet, but a humidity sensor or another controller may not talk to another controller. So right now, what's this led to is a whole series of what I call boutique smart building companies. These boutique smart building companies say, okay, I've got a client that want a smart building where I can visualize all my building energy use and all my occupancy, and I want to do it to make intelligent decisions. And so they handpick various suppliers that play nice in the sandbox together, and then they write custom software around them to develop to the real estate developer or the building owner a bespoke system for their building that has a dashboard, so the building engineer can say, I'm saving so many, I'm reducing so many tons of carbon dioxide emission through the operation of my buildings by knowing where people are. And I can see my energy dashboard giving me real building energy savings. And it's because of my lighting sensing system. We're gradually evolving in that direction, but this is just a temporary patchwork, if you will, to build systems for building owners that really don't know how to build smart buildings. And lighting will become a subsystem of a smart building.
It definitely will. Now, finally, I like to round up the interview with a question. You've been around for a long time, so I wonder...
What, my gray hair?
What I wonder is, what drives Robert to get out of bed every day? What's your passion? What makes you get up and do what you're doing every day?
Well, it's changed over time, and I would have to say that what really drives me right now is how we can take a look at allowing technology to drive more equitable access to high-quality lighting, to advanced systems that are available and of a sufficient cost point to be available to much wider populations of people and much larger economic demographics. How do we do that? So not only the rich and famous benefit from all these great systems, but how can we cost reduce smart to the point that it's available for everybody? Kind of like the smartphone is available for everybody right now, almost independent of socioeconomic classification. We want to be able to drive that technology so it benefits everybody as equally as possible throughout urban environments and rural environments. How do we do that? It's going to take more technology to make it smarter and cheaper. So we're still working on that.
Great insights. Robert Karlicek, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
That brings us to the end of this episode with Professor Robert Karlicek, and we hope you enjoyed this insightful interview. Remember, the interview is also available on our YouTube channel for those who prefer a visual experience. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all our latest interviews and discussions with industry experts. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us through our website or social media platforms. We love hearing from our community and strive to deliver content that is both informative and engaging. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes coming your way, where we continue to explore the world of lighting design. Thank you for tuning in.